Hello everyone and welcome to Saminator's Blackbookers from Cox Plate Weekend. 2 massive days of racing. We've got 3 Blackbookers to look at from yesterday's Cox Plate meeting and 6 from the Friday night meeting. So let's get straight on with it. We'll start with the Cox Plate meeting. We'll start in race 1, won by Acromantula, but I'm highlighting a horse called Red Hot Nick who ran through into second. Now this horse should have finished closer, was sort of held up around the 400 metre mark and got out late and really dashed home. Was really good through the line, about 50 metres to 100 metres past the post. It was in front of Acromantula, so maybe the step up to 1100 metres and a drop back in class would suit this galloper, and I think if with those two things combined it'll be ready to win a race. Definitely one to black book. Definitely one to follow next start. We jumped to race 7. It was the McEwen Stakes, and I've highlighted the second place getter, I Am Unstoppable. A pretty obvious black booker, this one. I thought it did really well through the line. It was second up, switching states from New South Wales to Victoria, which is something that usually puts me off. So the fact that it got into second placing, it was never catching the winner. Barrakill was often gone, but the fact that it did very well to go from just about last to second place, I thought was very good. I think now third up, I'm not sure where it's running next, but maybe it'll target the same as Barrakill and go to that meteorite race if it gets a slot at Cranbourne on Cranbourne Cup Day or something like that. It'll be something to follow. It'll probably stay at the sprint trip. It just needs to draw a bit better where it can settle a bit closer, and I think Kieran Mars found the right key to this horse because it looks like it's going very well. In the last race, the Testio Stakes, I'm highlighting a runner called Little Mix. Now, another horse that was second up, switching states up in distance, is something that put me off. It didn't win, but I thought it ran pretty well, and through the line it was good. It's a horse that I think is better out to the 2,500 metres, that type of range. I'm not sure if they can go to that 2,800 metre race on Melbourne Cup Day. That might be a bit of a stretch, jumping up 800 metres with only a week and a half between runs, but definitely back it somewhere next start up to that 2,500 metre plus range, because I think that's where it runs its best races. It ran very well yesterday, only second up, conceding race fitness to a lot of good mares, group class mares, so it's one to follow and back next start. Jumping back to Friday night, race 1 was run by Written in Code, but Atagina should have won this race. It was last, it got held up, had to go back to the inside where it made up some good ground and then shot through a few horses late and just missed the winner, the favourite Written in Code. Brilliant run. It wasn't respected by the market. From memory, I think it was about $21, so you might get a decent price next start because of its SP profile. This horse, if it shows it's up to this class, Metro Mares grade, then maybe like a Sandown Wednesday meeting where it finds a Mares benchmark 1600 race or something like that, where there's lesser prize money involved, which means there'd be less good horses involved. It's definitely one to back there, but not saying it has to drop down in class because it shows it's good at 100k race class or 80k race class, whatever the race was. So yeah, back it next up. In race 2, it was a sickening watch for Don't Rush Her. Now, it would never have beaten the winner, She's Bulletproof, but definitely would have run second in my opinion. It was held up behind a tiring horse called Martial Music, who actually pulled up with EIPH, so that horse was going nowhere. It only got out with about 150 metres to go, and it took a while to pick up, but eventually through the line it picked up and went through the line very well, was in second place about 50 to 100 metres after the post, so it's definitely one to follow next start. A drop back in class wouldn't do this horse any harm. It'll definitely be well found in the market in my opinion, because it was very unlucky in a race of good quality. The country final, I think it was on Friday night is what the race was called. It was at benchmark 80 levels, so it's a good race. It's a good horse, Don't Rush Her, and it'll hopefully get better luck next start with our money on it. Sione was my hidden black booker last week. This week, my hidden black booker is Mornington Pier out of race 3 on Friday night. Now, it was out the back at the Valley, which is somewhere where you never want to be, especially in a race like this where it was on pace dominated. Montatha sat second, finished first. Verdad settled first, finished second. But the work through the line of Mornington Pier stood out really well. This horse was saddle cloth 11, so the drop back in class wouldn't do this horse any harm either. It could drop back to a benchmark 70 race in the country or even at Metro level on a Sandown Wednesday somewhere, and it'll be highly competitive. This horse is on the way up. It's progressive. I think it's still pretty lightly raced, and if it can replicate what it did on Friday night, but set a little bit closer in run and with a longer straight, it'll be running really well. In race 4, the favourite Force Red was disappointing, but it's my black booker out of this race anyway. I just think it didn't really handle the valley and it wants further. Now, you can see it's probably a length and a half to 2 lengths off the leader at the 400 metres, and then got maybe 3.5 lengths behind it when they come into the straight. Couldn't go with Rich Dotty and Overfill when the sprint went on. But it really picked up late and was the best through the line, along with another horse on its inside called Bridal Waltz. But I just think Force Red maybe out to 11 or 1200 metres on a bigger track. Maybe even it might run in the Flemington Carnival down the straight sometime. That'll suit it. But yeah, anything like that up in distance onto a bigger track would suit this horse. This was a pretty obvious black booker out of the Vobis Gold Star. Apulia just missed Regal Zeus late on the line. But apparently this horse looked really, really bad in the mounting yard and it would need the run. Well, it was at an unsuitable trip against race-fit horses. Not at its best, obviously. It wasn't looking great in the yard. And it almost won. And it probably should have won because Regal Zeus around the valley just can't be stopped most times. So Apulia did really well. Up in distance next start. Again, onto a bigger track. I've said that with multiple horses today, but onto a bigger track, up in distance next start would suit. Maybe even it'll be at its best 2 runs into the future. It might need one more run to, get really wound up because it wasn't looking great on Friday night. It'll still run well next start, but maybe the start after that is where it will hit its peak. But yeah, it's one to follow. The last runner we're going to take a look at was Moon and Back. And it was a certainty beaten in this 55-second challenge heat. It settled out the back, didn't have clear luck all the way throughout the run, got out late and just missed. Now this horse absolutely adores Moonee Valley, absolutely adores the 955/1000 metre races at Moonee Valley. So that's the only place where I want to back it next start. It's probably going to drop back in class from, well, this run we're taking a look at because it was a $130,000 race on Friday night. It's only going to be a $60,000 race if it runs in another heat of the 55-second challenge next start. So big drop back in class, fitter for that run. It should be putting its best foot forward. Thank you everyone for watching this video of me highlighting my black bookers, running through them again. We've got Red Hot Nick, I Am Unstoppable, Little Mix, Adagina, Don't Rush Her, Mornington Pier. We've got Force Red, Apulia, and Moon and Back. So hopefully all these horses are running very well next start. Thanks everyone for watching. Until next video, bye for now.